Well, hello again, my crunchy companions. It's me, the potato, peering out from my safe world in the soil into the not-so-safe terrain that is energy production. For many reasons, but because I'm a potato, when I were to get into energy, then I would become a baked potato. And that's not my goal for today. My goal is to look into the supposedly green energy giants that you call wind turbines. If this is the first time you're seeing me, welcome to my channel, where we dig into food, fuels, and freedoms. Feel free to destroy that like button while I start to ramble. From the outside, a turbine looks sleek, white, and majestic. Wait, white? I thought they were green. From the inside, let's say if a potato had that much oil, we'd call it a French fry, and probably not a good kind of French fry, like oily, greasy, gross kind of French fry. At first glance, turbines look like the yoga instructors of the energy world. Calm, graceful, purity spinning in the breeze. But you crack open that nacelle, their big box at the top, and what you'll find inside might surprise you. That anything that rubs together needs some kind of lubrication. So it's going to have oil inside of there as well. So a single big turbine gearbox needs anywhere from 200 to 800 gallons of lubricating oil. That oil is known as PAO, or polyolefin oils. That is a synthetic oil derived from ethylene, thus crude oil. Where ethylene can be derived from biomass and organic matter, that is a fraction of where we get our PAOs from currently. So if we're still utilizing crude oil for a majority of our lubricants, specifically for our quote-unquote green energy, how is this clean? How is this getting us away from drilling? How is this getting us away from the emissions associated with drilling and shipping oil to locations? Furthermore, the lubricants will have to be replaced every 12 to 18 months. That's basically the world's most inconvenient oil change at 300 feet in the air. Imagine, if you will, having to give your vehicle an oil change of approximately a hot tub worth of oil every single year. I'm sure there's some people out there that don't get their oil changed but once a year, but it's not anywhere near gallons of oil. We're talking 10 to 15 liters for most vehicles max. And when leaks happen, what happens with that oil? Does that oil just politely stay put? Does it hover and wait for somebody to come clean it up? Does it ring a dinner bell, maintenance bell? Hey, I need to be cleaned up, please. No, it drips, it runs, and sometimes it gushes down that tower. And when they go to clean that up, do they clean up every last little drop of it? Do they scrape it off and don't let it run down the tower anymore? Or do they go out with a pressure washer and just pressure wash it all down the tower? Do they have a collection system at the bottom of the tower and collect all that greasy water? Those are questions as a potato I would like to know. Because as a potato minding my own business underneath that mass, I would not grow as food. I would grow as a pre-marinated curly fry. Now imagine that oil going into the waters, the oceans. Well, we would have ourselves pre-seasoned fish sticks and probably not any kind of seasoning that anybody is going to want to eat. Wind turbines are basically the salad spinners that require a drum of motor oil in order to operate. And somehow you still call them clean. That sounds like a tasty salad to me, boy howdy. But wait, there's more. If you buy today, you'll get a transformer worth of oil as well. Because gearboxes are not the only oil gluttons. Many turbines have transformers inside or at the base. These are what are used to step up the electricity so that it can run through the grid. And guess what keeps them cool as well? Yep, more oil. And here's how the juice flows. The generator inside of the nacelle usually produces 690 volts. So basically a polite electrical whisper. Hello, I'm 690 volts. Please excuse me, I'm coming through. Some larger designs stretch to 3 to 4 kilovolts, so 3 to 4,000 volts. So still a modest yelp into that electrical grid. And then that transformer cranks that puppy up to 10 to 35 kilovolts for the wind farm's collection system. Now we're talking into the get out of my way volumes. And finally, the substation screams it out at hundreds of kilovolts so it can run across the grid like an overstimulated thunderstorm. Similar to my first ex on her time of the month, and I was just trying to get out of the way. A turbine starts out whispering electricity at 690 volts, and by the time it hits the grid, it's screaming so loud that the potatoes underground think that it's Judgment Day. Where a nacelle transformer might hold a few hundred gallons, a ground pad mounted transformer could slosh anywhere from 500 to over 1,000 gallons. And bigger utility transformers, they can range up to 30,000 gallons of oil. That's not a transformer, my friends. That's a deep fryer for many, many of my relatives at one time. Humans are basically hiding many gas stations under their green energy totems. And now here's the part that makes turbine operators sweat harder than a potato in a microwave. Gearboxes are designed to last for 20 years, but in reality, many fail in just 7 to 10 years. Fatigue, misalignment, heat, and oil breakdown all contribute to the chewing up and spitting it out factor. Replacement costs range anywhere from $200,000 to $500,000 for an on-land turbine. And offshore turbines, it can climb into the millions. And when we're talking about millions of a dollar equipment, you could roughly be looking at half of the overall cost to replace that gearbox. And then you'll have the removal of that at the end of its life, the cost of that as well. So how is this cost effective? And yes, most turbines will require at least one major gearbox replacement in their lifetime. I know you were asking, so I had to answer. Humans built turbines for 20-year runs. Gearboxes usually tap out halfway. It's like an uncle at the wedding that says he can dance until dawn and is usually asleep at 10. They designed turbines for marathons. The gearboxes barely make it through the warm-up jog. And now let's talk about when all of that oil and those moving machinery parts gets too hot. How often do turbines catch fire? Well, this is an area where recorded numbers differ from reality due to underreporting. This seems to be a trend, people differing from reality nowadays. So the industry reported global figures can be low due to that, but research and investigative reviews indicate dozens to low hundreds of turbine fires per year worldwide. When you account for unreported cases, who honestly knows? A study summarized by IEEE Spectrum and independent fact checkers found that true numbers of turbine fires is significantly larger than industry reported tallies. That translates to a small per turbine annual probability, but multiplied across hundreds of thousands of turbines, the absolute number of fires is meaningful and important. Fires are one of the most common accidents in the industry. Roughly 1 in 2,000 turbines per year go up in flames. Now that might sound rare, but with hundreds of thousands of them spinning worldwide, you end up with dozens, sometimes hundreds of fiery disasters. And as far as I'm concerned, when we're talking about hundreds of gallons of oil in one shot, that's multiple vehicles burning. How is that emissions free? So one, as far as I'm concerned, a year is too many. If we're talking about dozens to low hundreds, that's way too many as far as I am concerned. So I'm curious on your side, if your take, what do you guys think? Drop it down in the comment section. Let's talk. So why do they burn so badly when they do burn? Well, oil, confined nacelle, and electrical components all work out to a very dangerous combination. Transformer oil and gearbox oil are both combustible. And if a lightning strike, electrical fault, mechanical failure, or overheating occurs, those oils can ignite. And when we're talking about 4 major possibilities of failure, and 2 of those having hundreds of possibilities in and of themselves, electrical and mechanical, there are multiple reasons for them to happen. And even overheating, we've got multiple reasons for that to happen. So because the nacelle sits high and is often in remote locations, firefighting is usually limited to perimeter control. Firefighters just sit on the perimeter and just eat popcorn watching the fire go. No, of course not. They're fighting the inevitable fires underneath. Hundreds of gallons of oil, combustible oil, is flaming and dripping down and causing fires below. The possibility that those blades are still turning in that wind, if it's windy. Possibility of the overheating and causing a fire is the brake system breaking and not activating, which would cause overheating. If that's the case, the blades are on fire and it's still spinning. Ice throw has a capability of throwing 1,700 feet from a turbine. That would indicate, we would have to indicate the same in fiery debris. 1,700 feet possibility of it being thrown. So that's why turbine fire frequently destroy the nacelle and the blades and are allowed to burn until the nacelle collapses. So unlike fires on a house, you can't call the fire department to climb 300 feet with a water bucket. A turbine fire usually burns until it collapses, scattering debris like $1 million toxic firework, throwing flaming debris into fields or forests, and may start secondary ground fires, especially in dry conditions. Human casualties are comparatively rare, but have occurred in technician rescues and maintenance fatalities. Environmental damage from oil contamination and secondary wildfire risk is the other big concern when it comes to fires on turbines. But again, what would this do to our oceans? Where the fire isn't exactly a hazard, the melted plastic and the toxic chemicals that are more easily able to leach into the water now that it's been heated are an issue. When the fire is fought with the chemical foams that then go into the ocean and the groundwater, that is a potential issue, considering most older fire suppression foams are highly toxic with their PFAS, or their toxic forever chemicals. Newer fluorine-free foams are less toxic, but their environmental impacts are still being studied. So where they're not supposedly toxic to people or animals, the environmental impacts could just be as toxic. And if they're as toxic to the plants, they're as toxic to the animals and people as well in the end. So when turbines catch fire, humans panic. Potatoes, we just call it baked energy. They say wind power is renewable, but once it's on fire, that's just really an expensive birthday candle. From far away, a burning turbine looks majestic. Up close, it looks like a French fry factory exploded in the sky and is now throwing flaming French fries all over the place. You wanted green energy, instead you got extra crispy. So what do we learn from all of this? Well, turbines aren't as squeaky clean as they look. They need oil, they break, they leak, and sometimes they even flambe. But here's the starch of it. Progress is never pure. So is this the impure way we want to be going with it? So here's the industry's design changes to try to mitigate the issues that we're having. They're moving transformers to the ground or using dry type transformers where practical. They are less efficient, have a larger physical size, a larger, higher cost, and a lower overload capacity compared to oil-filled units. So how often are they going to be used in the grand scheme of things? They are also used to reduce nacelle fuel loads, but not the overall size, of course. Many projects use pad-mounted transformers to ease maintenance and reduce high-altitude oil in the nacelle. So that's a good thing, at least. Less flammable insulating fluids. So suppliers offer biodegradable or less flammable fluids. Those are like the natural ester fluids, such as the EnviroTemp FR3 is an alternative to mineral oil, and they offer less combustion risk. Fire detection and suppression. So again, that foam that I was referring to earlier, they're putting it into the nacelle itself. So as the fire starts, it just cuts it off immediately. But again, what are the environmental impacts of that foam? And then, of course, better containment for the oil spills. And of course, that is going to be very important. Potato fact of the week. In the 1800s, inventors experimented with potato oil for lamps. Imagine if turbines ran on potato oil instead of petroleum. Whole fields of my cousins used for gearbox lube. That's not energy. That's not renewable energy. That's a French fry holocaust. This episode of Life Thru a Potato's Eye has been brought to you by Tubular Lubricants, the only gearbox oil infused with mashed potatoes, onion salt, and the faint scent of regret. Keep your turbines spinning and your kitchen smelling like hash browns. Warning, may attract seagulls. Tubular Lubricants, because even clean energy deserves a greasy snack. So next time you drive past a turbine, don't just see pure energy. See oil drums, fragile gearboxes, and the occasional flaming sky sword.
By the power of Grayskull.
Oh, not that kind of sword? My bad. Renewable when the wind blows, yes. Perfect? Not even close. So stay curious, my friends. Stay crispy. And if this episode has made you laugh or rethink your kale smoothie, please follow, share, so that others might laugh at me or with me. And any support is greatly appreciated, because even potatoes need storage space. And as always, please remember your Second Amendment rights inside of the United States. Response time of yourself is and always will be faster than the response of the police. Stay strapped or get clapped, my friends. And outside of the United States, please take care of yourselves the best way that you know how. It has gotten ridiculous out there, and you are important just like everybody else. And as for now, take care of yourselves. Remember those around you and what they might be going through. And the potato signing off.